So I want to tell you about my messages that I received from the Aleha. The Aleha are personal guides for me from the 9th dimension Pleiades system. So they are 9 individuals, I believe, who collectively give me information, but they really gave it to me straight today. And I think they did that because they knew that I should share it. So it wasn't like this personalized thing. It was meant to be shared. Okay, so let me start off. So if you didn't watch my previous video, I just went into the whole storyline narrative that we've been presented here in the United States. And you know, I had some fear come up from that, from just what everybody's been saying and talking about, and I started to get kind of scared, recognizing when somebody mentioned vaccines, and I just had some fear about that. And so even though I've been, I think, pretty good at like working through this for the past few days, through meditation and such, I knew that when that happened, I still had stuff I needed to work on because I had a response to that, emotional response of, ooh, because I was taken aback by it. And I started, you know, worrying, what if we did have medications all around the world that were forced? Okay, so sorry about my rambling here, but this was in response to that. And so they began with saying that we need to step outside the physical. So you need to step outside what's playing out and what you're being told. Okay. And I've been getting a lot of messages, so they're responding to this. I was getting a lot of messages in a lot of the sources that I've been following, saying that you need to take action about what's going on in the 3D play out and these dark forces that want to take over, and we need to take action. And so I was questioning, what else can I do? What should I do? And so they were responding to that, okay, and that they said you don't want to cause harm. And I think for a lot of people, we don't take action because we don't want to cause harm. Because then they used the example about face coverings. And I'm using some kind of coding because some people have been booted off YouTube. I am not going to overly use some of these terminologies because I don't want to get targeted. So the face coverings. Okay, you could go in and not wear one of those, or you could go in and wear one of those. Well, I can make a big deal by taking action and deciding I'm not gonna do that ever. And so they just made it known that I don't want to cause harm with any action that I take, and that's why I have hesitancy to take action, right? In that, you know, there's a lot of videos, a lot of articles saying, cause a ruckus and protest, and I don't want to cause harm. And so this is something I've been struggling with. Okay, so they said, well, where we're getting at with this is that we see there's only 2 options. We see it as we accept and remain neutral, or we create conflict. There's good and there's evil. And they said that there's a third choice beyond either choice, and that's about unification. And we see things as a division between two things. And okay, then they went into how these two things actually attract each other. So the good and the dark, the light and the dark, good and the evil. Let's just go light and dark. There's no evil. I don't want to put things in categories like that. So there's light and dark, and they both work together and attract each other. And when they were talking about this, I was reminded of Mattios De Stefano on Gaiam TV. In his show Initiation is Fascinating, where he talks too about how the light and the dark are part of the source, and you can't have one without the other. And so the Aleha was saying that these are polar opposites. And if you rise higher, the other is going to lower itself. So if we raise into the light, the dark is going to lower itself. Because we need contrast. And I began to understand this in a sense that it's serving us, because we need to continue to have this contrast to rise even higher. It's actually serving us. And yes, they're going to do more detrimental acts. This is the way they put it. Detrimental acts in which they're going to try to remain in power and bring us down. But in the contrast, we're actually rising in response to that. It's helping us. And then they say, quote, people who are awake cannot be harmed. So there will be a state of chaos, and some people are going to be afraid of some of the detrimental acts that occur. But people who are awake cannot be harmed. And if you think about this, the people who are going to be in a state of chaos and are afraid, they're only afraid and in this state of chaos because their whole belief system is being shaken. And it's just saying that they need to work and heal from this. And so once we become so light that we have worked through all that, these detrimental acts are not going to be needed anymore. And I took this when they said people who are awake cannot be harmed. I remembered Bashar. If you watch or listen to him, he talks about a glass wall. And things in the collective, in the world, you can see, but it's not part of your timeline. So you're actually seeing multiple timelines at the same time. And so, yes, you can see through the glass these things happening, but it's not going to affect you because you're in a different vibration. And the Aleha said, if you are afraid, you're afraid of yourself and a vibrational match. You're afraid that these things are going to come through and there's no glass wall. And they said there is no way something bad will happen unless you are a vibrational match. So don't be a vibrational match. If you are afraid of certain medications coming and being forced upon you, if you are afraid that we're going to wear face coverings forever, if you are afraid that the dark is going to win and take over the world, then you have to ask yourself, are you becoming a vibrational match to that? If you're not a vibrational match, there's nothing to be afraid of. Okay. Okay, so the thing about being a vibrational match is that, what people who are vibrational match to things, it's because of old beliefs and the belief, like following this old system. They're holding on to the matrix, holding on to these 3D patterns, and all these things playing out are to bring them out of the matrix. Things have to be challenged. Things have to be shaken up. Okay, so they said something here with my notes, something about, there truth and illusion, and about how it's like on this, like two things, and they said both are the same, and it depends on, so these things that are happening are true. They're actually physically happening, but then they're also an illusion too. That makes sense to me. It may not make sense to some people, but from a multi-dimensional level, I think that makes sense. To understand that these things are an illusion, when you step outside, like into the 4D and above, it's like you're looking down and you know it's happening. It's like you're looking through the glass wall. I see it. Yeah, that's happening, but it's also an illusion. I'm here, I'm safe. I'm beyond that playing out. So, okay, so they said that, it needs to get bad for people to say, I can't hold on to this because it doesn't match who I am. Yeah. So, if you think about that, we are escaping the world. We're getting to this place. We're not going to be able to hold on to this 3D planet because it's no longer going to be a match to us. We're only here in the 3D because it is a match to us. And we're about ready to graduate. But the thing is, the people have to see this for themselves, and they have to see the darkness within themselves to see the light. It can't be told to them. It can't be forced upon them. It has to be seen within themselves. And that makes sense too. For us to really, really get it, we have to see it within ourselves as, like it can't be, if you think about it, people try to debate all the time and force views, and people just will defend themselves and hold on to that. It can't be something like that. It has to be something so, major and like something that they can't deny, something that they have to see and understand that they are part of this. And I am getting this message, like they have told me several times, that these whole like disclosures and things that are coming out to bring us closer to this whole ascension are gonna show that we have been part of the problem. It's about us and looking at ourselves rather than outside sources. And so I have been getting that they keep saying that we're going to recognize the darkness within ourselves, and that we've been following unhealthy things that have been holding us back. And, that applies to people to different degrees, but I think it applies to everybody. They say that it does apply to me. I don't know how these things are going to play out, but I do keep getting that there's going to be disclosures, things that keep coming out, and it's really going to shake things up. Okay, and then they say, we don't need to see chaos, only the chaos within ourselves. And these things that come out, these disclosures, are gonna break us free from religions, school, governments, legal systems, and the health system. So I already covered that, about how there's gonna be a massive shift from all this stuff. We're gonna get on the same page. Everybody's gonna like see this for what it is. And the lay has said all the figures in this have a role. So it's not about this war of one side against the other. The dark are fulfilling a role. If the dark exists, if the dark didn't exist, we wouldn't have contrast. We need contrast at this point in the 3D. When you get up to, there's still some contrast in the 5D, but the 6D and above, there's no contrast. And there's less contrast in the 5D. It's not needed as much. But at this point, we have to have it. And we especially need to have it now because we need it for our ascension. And this is all playing out because we need to bring the masses to new energy. And it has to play out in a 3D. So that makes sense. It has to be seen. These people are so asleep, right? They're so in the program. They need it on a physical level for them to get so, to see things differently, to break free. It has to play out in the 3D. It has to play out in a physical way. And it has to be pretty powerful. So it has to be about stuff that we don't want. And we probably don't want to see, but we have to understand. Because, yeah, I'm just thinking, too, you know what this is all about, if we really think about this on a oneness and a collective standpoint, is that this is about rejection. This is about not seeing things that are there, that are reality, not looking at the darkness. We need the darkness because it helps us to shine light, because we shine light on the darkness. And then once we do that, we can transmute it. Okay, so they said in response, this is just something, okay, in response to December 21st, they kept giving me different times. They said December 21st, December 31st. I was like, what is it? December 21st, December 31st? And they said, we don't want to give a time frame. But they really didn't want to give me a time frame. But what I took from that is that, and they were not telling me that was the solar flash, but they did give me those dates. And make that what you will, but I'm thinking it's very probable that the solar flash is gonna come soon, or just that these dates are very powerful towards our ascension and our events. But I do think that it could be the final solar flash. They're describing this as a quantum leap for us, and things are gonna really accelerate fast. And everybody needs to understand themselves rather what they're told. So you need to go inward and you ask, you know, who are you? Are you really what is being told and what you're shown and things in the world? Some people are really just matching with whatever happens to them and whatever they're being told. And we need to step back and go inward. Because this is what the new world, the new earth is about. Is my take on this is that we're looking at the planet, we're looking at this 3D, and we're no longer a match to it. We're saying, no, this is not who we are. And we're understanding about more of who we are. And this is eventually going to explode out if we think about it like the law of attraction, right? Because you're going to manifest this stuff because you've been so collecting this stuff that cannot play out in the 3D because you're imagining such beautiful things because you're like, oh, I'm beautiful, but this world is not. And all this beauty then is going to explode out and create this new earth that is going to be beautiful. It's going to manifest. And then they said that these things are harsh revelations and that we're going to understand that these things don't work, don't make sense. These rules, these old patterns, these old systems, they don't work. They probably never worked, but they especially don't work now and they don't make sense. And, okay, if you feel threatened by anything that's going on in the news, in the media, recent events, you are agreeing with stories, you're agreeing with, the physical, you're wanting a specific result to play out. You have ideas, beliefs of right and wrong. You have ideas of what is ideal and not ideal. And you're holding on to this, I must have some sort of thing, physical result here, or I am doomed. And they said that this is ego stuff. Like the ego is like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die if it doesn't play out. Or I'm gonna die if, my system collapses, or my person doesn't win in some election or something like that, right? It's holding on to things. It's like holding on to its view of what things have to be, right? So basically they said that, when you are going with the ego is, I am only me if these things occur. So that makes sense to me. So it's like I have to have physical events, or, I have to win, I have to have these things, or, I am going to crumble, I am going to die because I am holding on to this physical world. And that's not the way it works. And that's not how the law of attraction works either, because the law of attraction is about seeing things and seeing things that don't exist yet. You create it within yourself. It's not so, yeah, it's just the opposite, in which, if you feel threatened, it's because it's like, I must have these things before I actually have it within myself. You need to get to this place where, you have it within yourself, you don't need it outside. Okay, and then there's this two things yet again, two ideas, right? You either do things or you be things. This whole time they're going on about how there's not just these two choices, two ideas, because we have this division, like it's either or. Okay, they said that the world is a match to you. And if you see it, you match to it. So you gotta ask yourself, if things are playing out in a way that you don't want, it's because you're a match to it. There's something inside yourself that you're a vibrational match to it. And some part of you is a vibrational match. Okay. Well, that's basically saying it again. So the beliefs and ideas, we can fall into having some agenda. We need things to play out because it tells us who we are. And it's really because, we're devaluing who we are. We're not seeing our power. We're not seeing who we are. We're not really trusting in ourselves because we're like, well, I have to have that outside Because if I don't, I'm not really who I am. I have to face, how to explain this? Like, I need the power outside me. I don't have the power within myself. If we really face the power of our divinity, then we know that we're not in any, harm. Okay, and then they go back to the action, because I asked again, okay, but these people are telling me to take action. They're telling me to go out and maybe protest and not wear face masks. And, I'm questioning, should I really take a stand and do this stuff? But I don't want to cause harm. And they said, this is going to what other people are telling me to do. And they're telling me what should be done. And if they said we should not act, we should not act for just what we're told to do. And they said, not acting is a choice as well, and is in itself an action. And I thought about that and just the image of me declining to do vaccines on a paper that I had. I just crossed off my reasons. I'm like, oh, okay, that was an action. Voting was an action. Or if you don't vote, that's an action. You don't have to enter into this system, and in a sense, that's an action. But the whole thing that they're really trying to get across is, why are you acting and how are you acting? They said, is it to please others? Is it to justify yourself? Is it to stand up? Or is it to fight back? And it really matters about your reasoning. It really does. And if they said, if you feel threatened if you don't act, that's telling you something. But basically how are telling me that I'm devaluing myself and devaluing the actions that I do make. So, you need to do what's right for you. That's really what this amounts to. You need to follow your own heart and really use discernment. And yet again, they enforce, be a vibrational match to you, not the world, not what you're being told. And they ask, what are you doing to be a vibrational match? If things are coming up that is causing distress, you need to ask yourself, what are you doing to be a vibrational match to that? For me, I began to think that, I am thinking of things that could harm me. And so that creates a vibrational match when you're like, these things actually could harm me. And also it's you're seeing something within yourself that you don't want to face. So if you don't want it to become a battle within yourself. So if you don't want to have thoughts of something that might harm you, and then you're like, I can't have those thoughts. Go away, thoughts. Go away. And I think that you can get to that place where you really keep redirecting until it's this transmuting. I've done this where you transmute those thoughts, and it's not really a battle. It's just that you keep redirecting it towards the positive and building that belief on the other, no, I am safe. I am, and building all that energy emotional energy, it will transmute. But it can also become a battle. And that's where they went into this healing integration process that I've been using, and I used for these fears that were coming up here, because I do know logically that I am safe, and I know that, it doesn't make sense for harm to happen to me. But when you get all these views and things, there can be parts of you that are not, there's like other parts of you that disagree, that don't truly believe it. And we need to learn to integrate them and love them. And so that's what I did, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I've been using this. And I think this is what we need to do, is that we need to integrate ourselves, because what's going on outside the world is what's going on inside our world. It is a reflection, and if we integrate, if we heal, these things aren't going to play out. We're not going to see a war outside if we have, integrated the opposition within ourselves. And that's what Teal Swan talks about. And this whole process is basically what Teal Swan talks about, although it's kind of a step up. I don't want to say it's better. It's not better. It's different. And especially if you're a channeler, this, to me, works really well. You can use this too, even if you're not a channeler. And I will show you how to walk you through how to do this on my next video. But I really think that if we work on ourselves, we're going to heal the world, because we are cells of the planet. We are all one. And what you do within to heal is going to heal everything out there. I've found this whole method helpful, and I hope it helps you, and so I'll walk you through that. And then just a reminder too, then they want me to do a channeling from Mother Sophia as well, and so I'll be doing that too.